Right, it's News Night on Metro TV. Good evening and welcome. Let's go for the headlines now. And tonight, body of one of the security men who went missing last Friday, 16 September 2022, has been found with parts of the body missing. As purified water prices go up tomorrow, Consumer Protection Agency laments charges government and private corporations to hear the pleas of the Ghanaians against increasing rates of goods and services. In sports, Accra House of Folk fails to claim the bragging rights over arch-rivals Accra Great Olympics as their much-touted Manche Derby ends in a 1-1 drawn game. And on the international front, 250 Ukrainian troops with the UN peacekeeping mission in the Democratic Republic of Congo recalled home to help fight Russian forces. Hello again, let's go for the details now. And one of the security men who went missing last week Friday has been found with parts of the body missing. The body is believed to be that of one Seydou Dakpouli, who went missing on the 16th of September 2022. Until his timely death, Seydou Dakpouli was a night watchman working with a shop along the Wa Bongu Road near the Wa Technical Institute in the Wa municipality of the Upper West region.
The body of Seydou Dakpouli is the only one to have been found out of several missing security persons abducted at their workplaces within the municipality of Wa in recent past. The body was found and identified together with some weapons and human parts in an uncompleted building. Yakub Sufyan is the leader of the youth group leading a search for the abductees.
We got up Sunday early morning and we thought it wise as a community to keep on our search for our relatives that have been missing, night security men, popularly known as watchmen, who are missing. We continued the search this morning. We came around this area, Napobo Kule extension. We were in the bush, actually, moving from one bushy area to the other, from one uncompleted building to the other. We go to a bushy area, we realized that there were some materials there that, in fact, we couldn't ascertain whether that was human material or whatsoever. So we called on the police to come around and help us do a thorough search. We moved from that destination to an uncompleted building where we also discover different materials in a sack soaked with blood, with a lot of materials around that we couldn't ascertain with our naked eyes. So we called the police, they came around, we were going around, and we got to a portion that we also realized that there was it's very narrow in nature. We tried to ascertain what was inside there. With a leg push, we decided we saw human material.
The Ghana Police Service have taken the body for autopsy and assisting in investigations. Over 300 security men have been deployed to Wa to contain the serial crime.
And you're on News Night, and joining us via phone now is our Upper West regional correspondent, Adams Musa. Adams, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
And let's go straight to the point. At what time did the police discover the body of this security man?
Well, it happened around somewhere 1 p.m. when a distress call was made to the Ghana Police Service about a certain strange activities around Napoba Kole, an area in the Wa municipality of the Upper West region. So when the police have visited the area with some of the concerned youth who has taken it upon themselves to go in search of the missing persons that were suspected to have been killed by these killers in town for some days now. So upon their search, this particular shallow grave was identified, and with a further digging, they realized that it was a human being in that shallow grave. It was later in one of the uncompleted compound house around that same area that they discovered that these assailants have been using the uncompleted building to carry out this act in town. A number of things were also discovered there, a calabash with cola and a white cloth and other herbs, including a shovel and a ping axe. All these materials were all believed to be part of what these assailants have been using to perpetrate the act in town. So the body has been conveyed to the regional police at the head office for autopsy and will further investigation. And we were told after that they will hand the body over to the relatives of the late Seydou Dakuli, who was a ninth watchman at a shop closer to Wa Technical Institute. That has been the situation now in town.
So, Adams, what more has the police been saying since the discovery of the body?
Well, according to the crime officer, this is an indication that there is more to do because they have seen some items of, and they also know where the hideout of these perpetrators, and it is a lead for them with the support of investigators from Accra who are currently in town. We have a number, almost 300 investigators and police security are in town. So they are going to help them to comb around town and also get more details of how these perpetrators have been operating in town. So we expect that within 9th especially, they will continue with their investigation to check some of these areas. So for some days now in the Upper West region, particularly 10 p.m. going, if we move around town, all shops and business activities usually shut down around that time because residents are not quite safe because they close shops. And if we go around some of the principal streets and also some corners of Wa, you will see police officers stationed all over the areas. So this, according to them, is to enhance police investigation and also find these perpetrators.
And Adams, are the people content with the what the police has done so far?
Well, they are still calling for more. With the discovery of this particular person who was killed last Friday, they believe that if the police will actually do their work proper, it means that the killers are within town, and if they are able to carry out their investigation proper, they will bring they will get the perpetrators. So they are quite happy. There is a signal that things are going to work out for them, but they still believe that the police has a lot to do so far as this kidnapping and killing is concerned.
Adams Musa, we are grateful for your input this evening on Newsnight on Metro TV. We also have to speak to the Wa Central Member of Parliament, Dr. Rashid Pelpuo, on this same issue. Doc, how are you this evening? Hello, Dr. Rashid Pelpuo, can you hear me? I'm sure we are working hard to get him on the line. I can't pick him out right now. I can't hear his voice. Hello, Doc Pelpuo, are you there? Hello? I think we are unable to hear Dr. Rashid Pelpuo, but we probably will work on the lines again and try and get him back as soon as possible. So let's move on to other stories on Newsnight on Metro TV. And residents of Amenanse Abuabo in the eastern region were left in shock when a man known only as Agbe butchered a couple, leading to the death of the husband while the wife is currently receiving treatment at a government hospital for severe body injuries inflicted on her. Here is an eyewitness account of what ensued.
But started by 8:30 to 9. I'm a panel next year. And I information said,
We heard the news in the early hours of the morning. We had information that a dispute had ensued between a couple and a man whose name, according to an eyewitness, was known as Agbe, has led to the death of the husband and with serious injuries on the wife. The wife is currently responding to treatment in a government hospital. The culprit, Agbe, has been arrested and will soon be arraigned before the court to face the law for alleged killing and manslaughter. The police have begun investigation into the matter.
Government hospital.
All right, so Chief Executive of the Consumer Protection Agency, Kofi Kapito, has lamented and bemoaned the upward review of prices on goods and services in recent times. Sharing in the plight of the Ghanaian consumer, Kofi Kapito called on government and private corporations to heed the pleas against increasing rates of goods and services. Sachet water is expected to be sold at 50 cedis from Monday. Water and electricity tariffs were also reviewed upward only a few weeks ago. More of Kofi Kapito's submissions up next.
The sachet water people, private business, who are saying that the situation or the reason why government is even given as to why things are not working in Ghana are the same reason why they are also justifying that they need to increase their product. I can't fault them. I understand them. All I can say is to plead with them and say that, yes, we all know we are in a hard situation, a difficult time, but the question is maybe they should consider their profit margins. I know they are in business, but when people are saying that just have pity or mercy on us, I think they should listen to. But I can't fault the transport owners. I can't fault the sachet water people. My biggest problem with government institutions, which is Electricity Company of Ghana, Ghana Water Company. Look, to my surprise, yesterday, I went to Kotoka Airport to pick my daughter up from the airport. Okay. When I entered the airport, you know they have a minimum time that you need to pay. Just about a few weeks ago, it was 6 Ghana. Just yesterday, I'm talking about car park, which is under the purview of government, has gone from 6 cedis to 10 cedis. And my biggest beef is I had opportunity to speak with a board member, and the board member was trying to justify why they have to increase because they need to they need the money to do other things. So if a private business is also telling me the same story, government is giving me, who am I to challenge the private person? But all I can say is I'll plead with them. They should have pity on us. Look, government should listen to the cry of the people. Okay, there are certain things that government should not even go near to increase. If government itself, government that is supposed to support the citizens of Ghana, is not being a little bit cautious. Right. And it's always allowing agencies to keep increasing. Why should you for a private person who also wants to increase? You cannot have that discussion. So to me, time has come. Government, and I'm repeating, government should consider the plight of the people in the country. Okay, we should not allow government institutions to just keep it. Look, what is going on in Ghana is everything is going up except paychecks. So if everything is going up and your paycheck is not going up, how are you going to pay for all these things?
Right. Okay.
Right. You cannot pay. So the question is, time has come. Government should intervene. Look, there are some businesses that government cannot do anything about it because it's a private business. We are operating a free market. But things that are under government should be able to consider and stop increasing.
Right, so we'll be able to speak to Rashid Pelpuo any time soon, but let's do the story. So as the price of sachet water goes up to 50 pesos, there are also threats from some driver unions that transport fares would be increased. So the situation has unsettled the many Ghanaians who are already reeling under harsh economic conditions. So Central Regional Correspondent Akwesiado spoke to some residents.
Sachet water producers announced that from Monday, September 19th, prices of sachet water would increase to 50 pesos. This would be the second time the price of water has increased this year. While Ghanaians are yet to come to terms with this, some commercial driver unions also announced a 30% increment in transport fares, citing rising cost of fuel, lubricants, and spare parts. This has unsettled many residents of the Central Region.
It's not a kind of news we always want to hear. Sometimes it's difficult to accept them, but we just have to cope with it, because when the people in charge of production of water tells you what they go through, sometimes you don't have an option but to understand them. That is why it's important that policies and things that would affect the basic people in society will be implemented, so that the system will be quite flexible for us all. Because no matter who you are, you will be affected. And the adverse effect is that if I have a business, because the cost of living has become expensive due to things like a basic commodity like pure water, then obviously it will affect the business that I also do.
They want government to put in stringent measures to deal with the rising cost of living.
Yet if you are in some kind of crime for source, that ever to know no man, you to me cover chronic dear. Never stress on the Omuntin and Sumaya cry. Son is able to answer Quayano.
We understand that prices of goods and services are going up, but income levels are not increasing. And a lot of the youth are currently unemployed. Even those who are employed are not.
All right, so let's go back now and speak to the Honorable Dr. Rashid Pelpuo. Earlier on, we were trying to speak to him, but we couldn't reach him. He's a member of parliament for Wa Central. Hello, Dr. Rashid. Good to have you.
Yeah, thank you so much, and good to have you too.
Great. This is not a great time, but I believe once you're on, you can tell us a lot more about the worrying situation in Wa and what your initial thoughts are so far.
Well, what is happening in Wa is an unheard of incident. Wa is not oriented for such a difficult situation. We've had no situations where people are killed in this. Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Yeah. Are you fine? Can you hear me?
Yes, doctor, we can hear you, so please go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me? Yes, I'm saying that Wa is not oriented for such a difficult situation we find ourselves. In situation, people are killed mysteriously, and their bodies not found. And if bodies are found, parts of their bodies are taken out. So it's a difficult situation for the people. It's shocking to all of us. But thank God today, in search for the bodies, they have come across a shallow grave in which one of the dead bodies was buried.
We are unable to continue the discussion with Dr. Rashid Pelpuo. I'm sure we will do it another time. You're watching News Night on Metro TV, and we'll be back in a moment.
Galamsey issue just goes beyond just hospital or health. In health, it is very clear to us exactly what the impact that we are seeing. We are seeing a lot of chronic kidney diseases in younger people.
Welcome back, and let's go straight to the Eastern region, where the regional minister said Kwame Acheampong has said that government has said that enrollment into senior high schools in the Eastern region has increased by 46.12% since the introduction of the free senior high school policy by government. According to him, government is complementing this achievement with massive school infrastructure.
Speaking on government's projects and programs in relation to infrastructure, education and health as part of the regional series by the Ministry of Information, Eastern Regional Minister Seth Kwame Acheampong mentioned that some 1,487.62 kilometers urban feeder roads and highways in the region have been completed.
So far, we have fully done a planned and awarded 866.35 kilometers of road network, and we have achieved 595.24 kilometers of road network, representing a 68.71% of road planned length achieved by fully paving them.
On health, the regional minister mentioned that ongoing construction of health centers in the region is steadily progressing. Speaking on the status of the Zipline Drone Center, Seth Kwame Acheampong described the project as a lifesaver, adding that a total of over 500,000 products have been delivered to some 32 districts through the technology.
And these ranges from medical, blood, vaccines. And so these three products are what we are using the drone service to serve the community. And in total, you'll be surprised that we have done 566,700 product deliveries in the entire space. And this tells you how effective our health system have been improved.
On free senior high school enrollment, he said the region has witnessed an increment of 46.12%.
In total, we have 950,926 pupils and students in both private and public schools, almost 1 million, from basic, that is kindergarten, to SHS and TVET. And we have improved in the number of schools. We have gone in public schools up at 5,239, and private schools 3,100, and in totality 8,339 schools. The free senior high school increased in enrollment from the 2016-2017 academic year to the 2020-2021 academic year, which we all know of, have seen an increment of 46.12% in the region.
Let's remain with the Eastern Regional Minister Seth Kwame Acheampong, because this time he says peace has been restored to Krobo after a protracted impasse between people of the area and management of the Electricity Company of Ghana, ECG, over the installation of prepaid meters. Krobo was cut from the national grid as a result of the conflict.
We've been engaging both citizens, traditional leaders, and all the stakeholders and actors to bring lasting peace in the area. So far, we have a smooth deployment of the prepaid meters in both assemblies, i.e. Yilo Krobo Municipality and Lower Manya Krobo Municipality. We are so far cool, and ECG is deploying peacefully. In the long term, our plan is to ensure that we engage our people and educate our people. And we want everybody listening to us to also open themselves up for education. There is no way a resource such as electricity, when generated, cannot be paid for. Once you utilize the utility, you should be ready to pay for the service, because the service provider, the generator, and the transmitter are all spending to produce the resource for us. and the resource needs to be paid for. That aside, we also would also crave on the service providers to also temper with our language and our approach to our citizens, because you are serving and helping all of us. This has been the way we have been able to move the stalemate into a settlement, and we are coasting peacefully to ensure that we fully deploy the prepaid meters in the 2 municipalities.
Now let's go to Aisha Wang, because it has been established that N. Wang, also known as Aisha Wang, was repatriated from Ghana to China on Ethiopian Airlines on December 19, 2018. With Aisha Wang occupying seat number 32F, economy class, Ethiopian Airlines flight number ET920 took off from Kotoka International Airport at about 12:50 p.m. on December 19, 2018. The flight was en route from Kotoka International Airport through Addis Ababa to Guangzhou in China. The suspected Galamsey kingpin's first arrest and reported deportation has been under intense scrutiny and generated heated controversy following her arrest for a second time in the country.
Aisha Wang's travel documents were handed over to the captain of the flight to be handed over to her upon arrival at her final destination at Guangzhou, China. The revelations are contained in the fact of the case presented to the court by the Attorney General and Minister of Justice. This should settle the contradictions by various state agencies, including the police, who told the court last week that the suspect sneaked out of the country to evade prosecution, and President Akufo-Addo saying he was not sure if Aisha Wang was deported from Ghana. 4 new charges were preferred against Aisha Wang are undertaking a mining operation without a license, facilitating the participation of persons engaged in a mining operation, and the illegal employment of foreigners and entering Ghana while prohibited from re-entry. Lawyer for the accused put in a bail application which was denied, and the accused were remanded into prison custody. Investigations discovered N1 took over the farms of several farmers by mining around their farms and destroying access routes to the farms. Still, they eventually gave over their farms to her for mining purposes, and one was arraigned before an Accra High Court on charges of illegally undertaking small-scale mining operations contrary to section.
Now, illegal mining activities are not only destroying water bodies in the eastern region, but contributing to increased kidney diseases. Medical Director in charge of the administration at the Eastern Regional Hospital in Koforidua, Dr. Akoto Ampao, laments the alarming rates of chronic kidney and waterborne diseases among residents, and this time has called for pragmatic steps to curb the menace.
Galamsey issue just goes beyond just hospital or health. In health, it is very clear to us exactly what the impact that we are seeing. We are seeing a lot of chronic kidney diseases in younger people. In the communities that these people are coming from, we are seeing quite a number of mercury poisoning, heavy metal infections within their system. And beyond that, even in the community, you have waterborne diseases beginning to increase. And we think that we need to stem this tide before it becomes worse than what it is. Even as it is now, it is worse. And some of us are saying that the lip services that we are all paying to this Galamsey issue must stop.
So, a chronic renal failure associated with kidney disease is on the rise amongst younger people between the ages of 30 and 40 years. The worrying situation comes to the fore following the reports that Galamsey is now affecting human organs in the eastern region. The medical director in charge of Eastern Regional Hospital, Dr. Akoto Ampao, tells us why such incidents are occurring in mining areas.
The human body system is unable to remove them. Most of these heavy metals, mercury, cyanide, and the rest, may have to be removed by the kidney. In the process, they go to deposit in the kidney structures and cause the kidneys to malfunction or lose their ability to function. And then These people come with what we call chronic renal failure because the kidneys have been poisoned and they are unable to perform the functions that they were designated to do in the body. We have noticed quite an increasing number of chronic renal failure in younger people.
Okay.
That is where the worrying is. In before, we used to see this in elderly people, but now very young people are having these kidney failures. Yes, we would want to see chronic renal failure in ages beyond 60, 65, towards 80 and the rest.
Okay.
But now, when you come to the clinic, we are seeing cases between 30 and 40 years.
Okay.
And it is quite alarming. And some of the history that we take from the patient point towards having done some work in the
Our funeral of Elizabeth II, late Queen of the United Kingdom, starts in about 15 hours from now. The late monarch will be buried at Windsor Castle near London. Westminster Hall opens its doors to the public on Wednesday, 7 September 2022, after a grand procession that brought the Queen's coffin from Buckingham Palace. The line in state continues until 6:30 British Standard Time on Monday, the day of the state funeral. At 11 a.m., the Queen's funeral will officially begin at the Abbey and will be conducted by the Dean of Westminster. At around midday, the Queen's coffin will be placed onto the gun carriage for the procession from London. At 4 p.m., a committal service would take place at St. George's Chapel, Windsor. At 7:30 p.m., a private interment service will take place in the King George VI Memorial Chapel. The Queen's coffin will be laid to rest alongside Prince Philip's coffin, which was interred in the royal vault. King George VI, the Queen Mother, and Princess Margaret are also buried in the chapel. Right, so the Queen had a fruitful relationship with Ghana, and she visited the country twice, first in November 1961 and second November 1999. During her first visit, Madam Elizabeth Rosalind Dowona Hammond, daughter of the then Education Minister, Honorable Alfred Jonas Dowona Hammond, had the privilege of presenting a bouquet of flowers to the Queen. She was then 10 years. And so we'll be speaking to her any moment tonight to find out from her what her recollection of the event and thoughts about the Queen's reign. Hello, Madam, if you can hear me, good evening, and it's good to speak to you at this time.
Good evening.
Right, so what are your memories of the occasion of the Queen's visit, during which time you presented a bouquet of flowers to her?
Oh, they are loving memories. She was very, very sweet. She smiled at me and told me how lovely I looked in my outfit. And I was also smiled at her and gave her the flowers and said, "Your Majesty, for you."
Right,
and
so...
she said, "Thank you."
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, so she thank you, and smiled at me. And I was very happy.
I'm sure you smiled back too. So based on that, what has been your assessment of the relationship between the Queen and the royal family, I mean, which have established this relationship with Ghana over the years?
I think it's a good relationship because the Queen is a very special person. She has something about her you can't really, you feel comfortable in her when she's around. At least I felt very comfortable. I wasn't shy. I felt very normal, and I talked to her just normally, and she replied just the same. So for me, it gave me afterwards, after thinking about it, when I grew up, I realized that she is a very wonderful person.
Right, I can see that picture of you
And
presenting.
the relationship to Ghana is also very good.
Okay.
I believe.
All right, I'm sure viewers can see that picture of you presenting the flower of a bouquet of flowers to the Queen, right? That's such a long time, but it still looks great. So the Queen will be buried tomorrow. And what is your farewell message and expectations of the new King, King Charles III?
Oh, may the Queen rest in peace. She was a wonderful person. I mean, I felt so comfortable at my age, you know. I actually chatted with her for a while, you know, and for when I think of it, looking backwards, I think of it, you know, it was a wonderful occasion because a young person like me, you know, talking to the Queen, and she just was normal to me, chatted, smiled at me, told me how pretty I looked in my outfit, and I never forgot it.
And indeed, you still look beautiful on our screen tonight because we can see that kind of pretty looks in your face.
My expectations of the King Charles, well, he was born by the Queen, so I'm sure he has learned something from his mother.
All right.
And he will do his own part.
Okay.
God will help him.
Right. Great. That's Madam Elizabeth Rosalind Dowuona-Hammond. She's now 71 years, and she had the opportunity to present a bouquet of flowers to the Queen when she was only 10. You're on Newsnight on Metro TV. There's more coming up. Stay with us. Right, you're watching Newsnight on Metro TV, and welcome back. We still have some unfinished business with the WA Central Member of Parliament, the Honorable Dr. Rashid Pelpuo. We're speaking to him on Zoom, but the contact wasn't properly. So we'll get him right now on phone, and I believe he will be able to deliver. So, Doc, let's continue with our discussion. Do you think the deployment of these special forces, I mean the police, to maintain peace in the area would change anything?
Well, first of all, let me thank the IGP for this deployment. And let me say that it has boosted the confidence of the people to participate in the search for the perpetrators. And psychologically, it is giving us hope that the government has shown enough concern, has expressed the concern also. So it's good thing. The second good thing about it is that there's going to be a more committed search for these people. There's going to be a more professional approach so that we can be sure that in the end, these guys who are doing these things blatantly without any respect to our laws and order can now be tracked and then arrested. So there's good reason for them to have brought them, and we are happy and confident that some more effort will be made to come to a good conclusion. You see, all these things will not make meaning if we don't have a conclusive position which allow us to all be happy, or which will create the needed security situation for us to get all these people arrested.
Right, Doc, but finally, what do you think is the reason why security men are being targeted and killed? I mean, you are the chairman of RegSec in your area. What are your feelings towards these things?
Well, I'm not a chairman anyway, but I'm the MP.
Okay.
What it is that these are people who are alone deep in the night without anybody with them. So it's not because they are security men, but just because they are vulnerable, easy targets for them to reach out to. So they just reach out to them and then, kill them and do what they want to do with them. That's one reason why I think is the case. There may be some other reasons for targeting watchmen who are without any guidance, and who many of the time many Ghanaian kind of watchmen. They will go to sleep when it is late in the night. They approach them and kill them. So it could be that reason, that because they are alone, they are easy targets.
Right. Dr. Rashid Pelpu, we're grateful for your time, and that is the WA Central Member of Parliament who was giving us his thought about the targets of killing some security men in the WA area. Up next is the business news. And in business tonight, a cartel of smugglers in Ghana is doing brisk business stealing fertilizers the government of Ghana has subsidized and shipping them to neighboring countries for immediate sale. According to the public relations officer of the Cocoa Board, Fifi Boafo, his outfit has been arresting some of these people and will soon prosecute all of them.
In terms of fertilizers, we have hauled a lot of fertilizers to our cocoa farmers across the country. We've realized that the rains are still on, so there's a possibility of black pod disease. So some chemicals are already on its way to deal with that. Except that it's unfortunate that some of the farmers, after Cocoa Board has heavily subsidized the fertilizer, hauled it to them in their communities, end up selling it to some people cheaply. And we are always informed. In fact, the past 1 month, there have been several arrests being made by the security agencies of persons who have taken over fertilizers meant for cocoa farmers. And then they are just trying to move away outside the country with it, who have been arrested. It's a bit of a challenge for us, which we are finding means of dealing with it. But we have sent quite a sizable amount of fertilizer to the farmers for them to use in their on their farms.
Right, you're watching Newsnight, and the sports news is next. And in the Ghana Premier League, Match Day 2 fixture at the Accra Sports Stadium this afternoon, the match talked about Manche Derby game between Premier League sides Accra House of Folk and Great Olympics ended in a 1-1 draw after 90 minutes of action. Nanaya Opoku of our sports desk was at the stadium.
The first round of the Ghana Manche Derby ended in a 1-1 stalemate, with Great Olympics and Heart of Folk giving the fans something to cheer about. Great Olympics scored through Razak Abdul in the first half.
Olympics have the opening goal. What a mistake from the Heart of Folk back line. Great Olympics jumps into the lead. The goal kick, Heart of Folk trying to play out from the back there and play themselves into trouble. It's going to be Yadom who's trying to find his goalkeeper with a square pass.
Heart of Folk showed glimpses of quality football to equalize in the first half, but the efforts were not enough.
Daniel Efriye, Barnier with a pass. Junior Kaba on the volley. That was impressive. And so with a cross in. Here is Obin Junior for Hearts of Oak. Checks onto his left.
Great Olympics had another opportunity to make it double over Heart of Folk through Samuel Abe Ashikwe, but his efforts went way wide.
And it's Olympics on the counter. Here is Ashikwe. Can they get a second? Ashikwe.
In the second half, Heart of Folk came back strongly and got the equalizer through Kunadu Yadom.
It's Bontin's corner. Kunadu's header, and he gets the equalizer. He redeems himself. Kunadu Yadom, what a debut to remember. He gets the equalizer with 2 minutes from full time. Kunadu Yadom has indeed arrived in the capital. It's Heart of Folk 1, Olympics 1.
The place has exploded. And it is as good as the header from Kunadu Yadom. It's from around the penalty spot. What a connection from him with the head.
So after Kunadu Yadom made amends after that hauler between him and...
I think Olympics were just lucky. Now, Ghanaian champion Asante Kotoko this afternoon failed their numerous followers at the Babanyaro Sports Stadium when they lost on penalties to Kadiogo of Burkina Faso in the preliminary stage of the CAF Champions League tie. After going down by 1 goal during regulation time, the Reds again slipped during the spot kick session, which ended their campaign. Right, so we have entertainment news coming up on Newsnight. And tonight, ahead of Ghana's participation in the FIFA Qatar 2022 World Cup, High Life and Afro Sound sensation Aquabwa has released a specially themed song to support the Black Stars.
We go show progress, we go conquer with prayers. What did they do, dear? Concept. We go run kitty kitty, we go score kata kata. Black Stars, we come fire fire. No retreat, no surrender. Hey, bring back the love where you say you get for your country. Forget the past, but we move on. Cheers to victory. Bring back the love where you say you get for your country. Forget the past, but we move on. Cheers to victory. I know that.
We have some international news coming up next.
The 250 Ukrainian troops with the UN peacekeeping mission in the Democratic Republic of Congo have returned home to help fight Russian forces. Since the Russian invasion in February, Ukraine had already pulled out its troops from the other UN peacekeeping mission where they had been deployed. Senior leaders have called for calm after days of violent anti-government protests in Haiti. Protesters are demanding the resignation of Prime Minister Ariel Henry after an end to government fuel subsidies caused petrol and diesel prices to skyrocket. Justice Minister Berto Dose vowed to identify and punish those behind attacks on property. A bus carrying people to a COVID-19 quarantine facility in China has crashed, killing 27 of those on board. The coach overturned on motorway in the southwestern province of Guizhou. Another 20 people were injured. There's no word on the cause of the crash, which occurred early on Sunday morning. One of the biggest typhoons ever to strike Japan has made landfall on the southern island of Kyushu. At least 4 million people have been told to evacuate their homes. Extensive flooding and landslides are expected, while bullet train services, ferries, and hundreds of flights have been.
Right, before we go, let's look at the closing headlines. And the body of one of the security men who went missing last Friday, 16th September 2022, has been found with parts of the body missing. And as purified water prices go up tomorrow, Consumer Protection Agency laments and charges government and private corporations to heed the pleas of Ghanaians against increasing rates of goods and services. And Accra House of Folk failed to claim the bragging rights over arch rivals Great Olympics as their much-touted Manchester Derby ends in a 1-1 drawn game. And on the international front, 250 Ukrainian troops with a UN peacekeeping mission in the Democratic Republic of Congo recalled home to fight Russian forces. And that will do for this edition of News Night on Metro TV. Thanks for watching and have a good evening.